An East European girl goes to America with her young son, expecting it to be like a Hollywood film. So this is my introduction to Lars von Trier and my introduction to Björk. I'd say I liked it a little more than Gone Baby Gone, but it's definitely not perfect. One thing that is not a problem is the acting. It's front-loaded as hell. Oh, it's the dude from Fargo. Oh, the guy from Green Mile. The chick from Repulsion. I had no idea that was Catherine Deneuve. So we're starting with this character played by Björk, who is small and, sweet. Not the type of person that puts on a ton of makeup, is kind of shorter, dresses very modestly. She is gradually going blind. Fascinating. Because this is a person that will obsess over Hollywood musicals. And I was kind of unsure what this was gonna be like. There's so many art housey movies where it's like all these super big philosophical discussions about art. Unless you're Oscar Wilde, I don't think it's gonna work. It just ends up being really preachy and pretentious. They keep it to a minimum. And even, I'd say like the conversation, the main one that they have like in the movie theater, that could have been worded a little differently. This is a person that's blind, but loves to dance. Bang. Perfect. So the camera is really grainy, there's a lot of noise, always handheld. They decided to put it all into paying the actors and none into the camera. It's like Pulp Fiction, but worse. I didn't see the other guy's movies before this, so I'm wondering, is this just his thing? Oh no, it has to look like a home movie. I'm not too sure. It's clear that all of this has gone to the actors or just Björk's bank account. We're sort of working with a character who doesn't like to fight, tries to avoid confrontation. Totally the dreamer. I am amazed at the big scene. And everyone knows what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the big scene. The problem with that is it wasn't cruel enough. This is the centerpiece of the movie. This is why it's an R rating. This is the huge breakdown. I don't think it's cruel enough. I was waiting for them to do it. It was that perfect reaction you wanted from an audience. I hope they don't do that. I really don't want them to do that. And they don't do it. Very strange to me. It's like you set that up so perfect that this girl is so sweet and so horrified of confrontation, but you feel the effort, you feel the work. What I did not expect from this movie was that it was going to be a musical. I thought it was going to be a musical that is about musicals. It is a little bit of that, again, with some of the little philosophical talks. I think that this is one of the biggest problems with the movie. The musical sequences aren't that great. Did not know what her vocals were going to be like. I didn't know what style of music they were going to do. I didn't know how they were going to mush film grain quality, home movie sort of thing with the classic musical. I don't know what the intention was. My thought is we're putting it into a home movie scenario, a musical just straight out of real life. The problem is it's edited so annoyingly. It's cutting every 2 seconds. I'm kind of thankful for it because the sort of angles they're getting at, it's not even that interesting. They just keep it with film quality. They sort of put something in front. It's like, say, it's like some piece of metal and the factory's right here. Then there's a big crowd of people right here. We need genuine art of the frame. When you get that, hold on it so that people can take in the brilliance of it, the beauty of it. I wasn't a fan of the songs, really. I felt there's so many times where I'm like, this should be so energetic. This note should have been held for so much longer. You know what it is? You know what it is? Listening to the greatest songs ever, the greatest rock songs, and then when you watch a live version of it, it's just garbage. When you watch Freddie Mercury do Bohemian Rhapsody and it's wow, he's so not even trying to hit these notes. And maybe that's what they're trying to do, making it all realistic. What it tries to do, I noticed this because one of my favorite movies is what's called 13. What that movie does is it starts really saturated and then gradually it all the colors completely sucked out of it. You could do that for many reasons. What this movie tries to do is sort of a similar thing, that things are getting a little bit more claustrophobic, a little more depressing, but when a musical number is starting, all the colors are popping out, and that's a little distracting. I don't like a lot of saturation because it's just not appealing to look at. It's like you're just watching like Oompa Loompas dancing around, which ends up being this movie. These like brightly faced people twirl around and trying to be seen in the shot. It doesn't even look good. It's not pretty to look at. In a movie that is a musical but is really grounded in reality, and there's these music numbers that are filmed like that, why don't we just all of a sudden bring the colors right back? And then when it ends, we're back in the prison and it's like all gray, it's washed out, everyone looks, you know, really pale. There's kind of like this battle I find in the industry of like, which musicians are good actors and which ones are bad. Björk is one of the good, and Catherine Deneuve is, you know, powerhouse as usual. It's funny because, you know, when you know these sort of women who are super extroverted, can be very protective, get involved in everything, they don't sort of know when to step their bounds, when to not to, when they sort of make decisions without people knowing. When you know those people, it's a lot of fun to see this, and it's even more resonant because of it. The only kind of strange performance is the main police guard. It's like this chick has a permanent facial expression, being sad because you're constipated. She's supposed to, I guess this is spoilers, she's supposed to identify with Björk's character, really sympathizes with her when she's on death row. It didn't feel like they spent enough time with one another. And that would have been perfectly fine. Could have given me a few more minutes with the two of them. But the problem is, it's a really long movie already, and it feels like it's 4 hours. I think you could have just given us a little more time with the two of them, and that would have really maximize that ending. It's one of those movies where it feels like it ends 40 minutes before it really does. It's like Thirst. Feels like this movie could have ended like 10 times. When it doesn't work, because there's a lot of times when it's really good when it does that, when a movie does that, but then sometimes when it doesn't, it feels like it kind of doesn't know who it is. And I think that can be a little distracting. So overall, I did like it. I thought the performances were top-notch, had some excellent moments. Sometimes it could get a little awkward and I wasn't too much a fan of the music numbers. I'd say check it out. I don't think it's this groundbreaking art housey sort of thing. I think there's a lot to see about, you know, the behind the scenes stuff and the relationships sort of there. I thought that was kind of fascinating. Yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later, and have a good night.